Many of us, myself included, are really excited for this brand new Xenoblade game, but there's still quite a few people out there who are just a little bit salty because they feel like it's just the Switch getting more of what it already has, and while that might be true, I don't think it's something you need to complain about. Why is that, you ask? Well, sit back in your favorite off-brand Steiner recliner and allow me, YouTube's 5th tallest full-grown man, CameronAllOneWord, to tell you why you should stop complaining about Xenoblade Chronicles 3, you dingus. Alright, so if you absolutely hate Xenoblade games and just think they're the worst garbage imaginable, then, well, I think that's completely okay. But what I can't fathom, though, is why the frig anybody would be upset over other people enjoying it. I totally get that we're long overdue for a new F-Zero game. It's perfectly fine to wish we'd gotten that or something else over Xenoblade, especially if you don't even like the franchise to begin with. But like, it's not as if Nintendo's consciously choosing to neglect any specific series in favor of more Xenoblade games or anything like that. I mean, sure, Nintendo does own Monolith Software, so they could just force them to make another Punch-Out or Kid Icarus if they really wanted to, but the studio's been making almost nothing but Xenoblade games since 2010, so if we're gonna get a new F-Zero game, then why on earth would anybody want Monolith, of all people, to be forced to reluctantly make it? Especially when Xenoblade games sell pretty well and its fanbase seems to be happy with the games. The good old folks at Monolith seem to be in a groove with these games, and it's not like we're getting the same game over and over again every year with slight updates or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with getting updates on the same game with franchises like Mario Kart, Smash Bros, and Splatoon, as long as it's not once a year, of course. But like most video game franchises, Xenoblade games are completely different with every new entry, so like, what's the problem with getting 2 in a 6-year window? Especially when, again, they sell well and fans seem to love them. I mean, if you gotta blame a Nintendo game for preventing us from getting Pikmin 4, then why not blame something like Labo? After all, the Labo games are made by the same studio that made the first 3 Pikmin games, but had they not wasted their time on cardboard that everybody just forgot about, then perhaps we really would have had Pikmin 4 by now. Judging by the fact that a port for Pikmin 3 sold better than the Switch original Labo, then I'd say that Nintendo kinda blew it here. Hell, the same people who made Labo also made the 4 Sword Zelda games, which is another thing that would have been pretty awesome to have on the Switch, but had either of these 2 games been made by Monolith Software, then while I have no doubts they would have ended up alright, I'm quite skeptical that they'd have ended up being better than Xenoblade 3 had they been forced to stop making the game that they were naturally feeling at the moment. It'd be like telling Michelangelo to stop painting the Sistine Chapel and forcing him to paint a sequel to the Mona Lisa instead. Now, if Michelangelo had been making some random cardboard thingy that nobody asked for instead of the creation of Adam, then I could totally see being disappointed. But if the guy was continuing to do the work that he was most known for and everybody loved, just like Monolith Software is doing for Xenoblade 3, then I just don't see the problem. I get that some of the frustration comes from the fact that Xenoblade got an entire direct all to itself, but like, that doesn't mean there won't be another direct for 9 months or anything like that. It just means that this one right now is going to focus on one game, because I guess Nintendo really had a lot they wanted to show off here. Personally, I think this is a lot better than promising a 45-minute direct only for the last 30 minutes to be dedicated to one game, which Nintendo actually did not all that long ago. Plus, while there definitely are plenty of Nintendo franchises that really make the Switch feel like a party where everybody was invited, I don't think there's too many missing IPs that make one more Xenoblade game feel like overkill. It'd be absolutely incredible to see a new Pikmin, F-Zero, Golden Sun, Kid Icarus, and even Chibi Robo game in 2022, but I don't think there's much more beyond that you could argue would be better for the Switch than Xenoblade 3 in my opinion. I mean, the Switch has got plenty of Mario and Zelda, as it should, and sure, Metroid Prime 4's taken forever, but like, we know it's coming, and we still got a new 2D Metroid game that ruled, so, you know, that's pretty cool. Plus, the Switch also got a solid Fire Emblem game, Animal Crossing, Smash Bros, Mario Kart, 3D Kirby, 2D Kirby, Bayonetta, Luigi's Mansion, Pokemon out the ass, 2D Yoshi, 2 Mario Party games, a Paper Mario game, albeit one that wasn't what fans exactly wanted, a remake of Famicom Detective Club, and hell, even a new Wii Sports spiritual successor game, plus probably plenty others that I'm forgetting about right now. Chikasato Itoy said he's done with Earthbound forever, and without him, we'll never get a new game that feels the same, so Earthbound's out of the question. New Punch-Out would absolutely rule, but as a $60 retail release, well, it wouldn't be as cool as Xenoblade 3, I'll say that. Starfox would be pretty neat, but of course, they'd have to make it right, and it's been a while since it's been pulled off, so again, I'd just prefer Xenoblade 3 in my opinion. And look, again, Xenoblade's definitely not for everybody. I can easily see how one would absolutely hate these games, but when the game seems to sell pretty well and fans seem to enjoy each entry, then why not let the people who only make Xenoblade games keep making more Xenoblade games if that's the kind of art they feel like creating, you know? Especially when it's all people seem to want them to make. So at the end of the day, Xenoblade 3 is just not responsible for any of the neglected Nintendo IPs the Switch hasn't seen yet. And lastly, there really aren't that many of them that are just straight up being ignored, and I think there's a pretty good chance that many of them are probably being worked on right now anyway, even if they are just in the drawing board phase. Anyway, that's all for today, though, but if you got a kick out of my incoherent rambling, then you should check out my video I made where I rank all the Smash Ultimate characters from good to evil, including the DLC, but if you'll excuse me, though, I gotta go water my snake. Later!